What would you focus on if you weren't going to be looking for a Ruby job? He's looking for a C#/ASP.NET job. So he's looking at a different tech stack. My hunch is probably because there's job openings in his area that are in a different tech stack, because that's kind of like the reason that you probably would do your research and be like, hey, I want to do that.
You learn a lot quicker when you already understand one framework and one language. Like I've gone on and I've learned a bunch of stuff in Elixir and sorry Ken, JavaScript and and Python. I mean, you learn it a lot quicker once you understand one fundamentally well. So it's more about learning programming than it is about learning Rails. You're not learning how to make, a Splurty app. You're not learning how to make a Nomster. You're learning how to write applications, and you're learning about the architecture of everything. It transcribes over pretty well. If you're not going to work with Rails, it's still a good place to be.
And on that note, I mean, if that really is your interest, then try to take your Splurty app, try to take your Nomster app and building it in the language that you're interested in. And that way you'll see what's similar, and that'll be a breeze, right? But then you also realize what's different and how to think about it in a different way.
One Firehose student, Tate, ended up, he got 2 offers. He got one from a Java shop and he got one from a Ruby shop. I think he actually really liked Ruby as a language, but he was less interested in the company, and the Java company. It seemed like it was one that would give him a lot of mentorship and sort of support the type of career that he wanted to have. But basically he had pretty much no experience with the language itself. And he got an offer, and then he had like a little bit of time to study it. So it's not terribly uncommon. It's focus on the fundamentals, and it's definitely doable. So Colin's offering to jump in. Yeah, so feel free to unmute yourself, Colin, if you want to jump in.
If you are looking for a C# ASP job, because that is the software language of choice for your area, which that is pretty much everything in Wisconsin is all C based. It's all the Microsoft stack, so it's a pain trying to find any Ruby jobs. If you're learning Ruby and you enjoy Ruby, then go and try and find a remote job, or try and get in contact with other Ruby developers in your area. So when I went to the Madison Plus conference, I found a ton of Ruby developers that are in Wisconsin, and a good chunk of companies that I had no idea were even in Wisconsin, and even like established paper mill companies that typically are C or Microsoft stack based languages that were running off Rails. I would not just fully give up on Ruby and focus on that if you are looking to stay in your area, because there's always remote jobs, and you never know what you're going to find. Try and find some local people that develop on Ruby, and go from there.